It was 2003 that Travis Trek began. Since then, Scott Cunningham and his guide dog Travis have walked every long distance route in Scotland, as well as the 268-mile Pennine Way. Scott has now raised more than £100,000 for guide dogs, as well as inspiring countless other blind people to embrace challenges big and small. Every one of his walks has been full of memorable moments, as last year's Travis Trek programme showed. Day 6, and the Travis Trek team know their toughest test lies in wait. Walking from one end of Loch Lomond to the other, the weather is closing in, and the east side of the loch has taken on an unforgiving appearance. A narrow, rocky path with steep, slippery drops lies in wait.
It's going to be a really mental strain of the day, Michael. There's no doubt about it. Physically as well. We logistically, yesterday we had to come to here at the Ardluey Hotel, which means we've got an extra 3 miles that we hadn't accounted for, so it's going to be 17 miles in really rough, ragged terrain along the east bank of Loch Lomond there, and the weather is pretty hellish out there. So it's going to be a test for everybody involved, you know, with a hard one.
There's nervous anticipation on the ferry from Ardluey. Andy Gorham joins the team for this daunting challenge. The first few miles are the hardest. There's no break in the rain. It's the wettest day of the trek by far. The weather has made an already difficult section almost unpassable in places. With a steep drop to one side, any wrong step could mean serious injury. Scott and Helen have made it through unscathed. Apart from a couple of stumbles, they've dealt heroically with all that Mother Nature could throw at them. The narrow Lochside Trail eventually becomes wider, more manageable pathways. The walking becomes easier and the pace quickens as the day progresses. Despite that, there's still a lot of ground to cover.
You had to be there to understand how tricky and how treacherous the terrain was, and it was just so mentally taxing. But I say, we came here for the challenge. It wouldn't be worth it if it wasn't a challenge. The more difficult, more extreme, this is what it's all about.
After leaving Ardluey at 9:30 in the morning, Balmaha is finally reached 9 hours later. The group is exhausted, energy reserves are spent. There's a feeling that far more than the expected 17 miles have been covered, maybe 20 miles or more. Scott Cunningham and the Travis Trek team have passed their ultimate test. It's a day no one will ever forget.
I just hope that the camera footage that you've done gives it a bit of justice, because the people tell you the Marines there have never been through a lot of that as well. Everybody was an absolute superstar, Helen especially, mentally trained, absolutely, physically well done well, but mentally just absolutely so taxing and so it was just unbelievable. You couldn't put it into words really. You had to be. It was one of them situations you had to be there to understand just what we went through. But everybody's so positive about going down and getting the finish line, and you couldn't make it up. It's just the camaraderie and morale is so high and just so positive, and it's just I feel it's just adrenaline's just flying through the body now, and looking forward to bringing it on and getting to the finish line.
With the West Highland Way complete, all that remains for the Travis Trek team is a triumphant march up Paisley Road West.
It's humbling, absolutely humbling. There are people from everywhere here. Up and down the country, there's people from Aberdeen, there's people from all around about. And it's massive, mate, it's absolutely massive. Never ever thought, you know, sitting at a lunch with Terry, this monster would have came about.
Ibrox Stadium is reached. Waiting at the front door is Travis, reunited with Scott after a week apart. Thankfully, he's well enough to complete the last leg of this epic journey. At half-time, it's the moment lifelong Rangers fan Scott has been waiting for. The crowning glory of an incredible week. A momentous personal achievement. The Travis Trek team receives a standing ovation. Every supporter inside the stadium rises to pay tribute to the efforts of one man. There are congratulations from the Rangers coaching team and a chance for a few old friends to catch up. There's also a rare invite into the Ibrox manager's office. Walter Smith is one of the first to offer his hand.
Walter knew exactly what we'd been through because he's done it before. He's actually done it 3 days before, which is an epic feat in itself. But he knew exactly every step of the way. We were discussing that with him. Ali being Ali was full of jokes and, you know, he's handing out the beer, a couple of beers and whatnot. And to be congratulated by the management team at Ibrox was just a perfect ending.
A fitting end to a special week. Earlier this year, Scott received national recognition for all his efforts when he was named 2010's Fundraiser of the Year, a well-deserved reward for his years of dedication, bravery and inspiration.